Hi guys, my name is Joe and welcome to Fighting Words, the martial arts library. On this channel I review martial arts books and talk about other martial arts related segments. This is a segment that I refer to as Media Fight Monday. So on the first and third Monday of every month, I take a look at a fight scene from movies, television, animation, etc. and I break down the action and then I give it a grade based on realism and storytelling value. Today I'm doing a fight scene from 1994's Fist of Legend. I really like this movie. I think it has a lot of really standout fights in it. The actors that are featured include Jet Li, who's playing Chen Zhen, and Yasuaki Karata, who is playing the character of Funakoshi, as probably a tribute to Gichin Funakoshi, who popularized Okinawan karate on mainland Japan and was the founder of Shotokan. Jet Li was famously a wushu champion. In other words, he was an expert in forms, and then he went on to star in so many martial arts movies. So yeah, his primary background is wushu tailu, or forms. Mr. Karata has a background that includes karate, which is his primary martial art, as well as dan ranks or black belt ranks in judo and aikido. As far as the setup to this scene, Chen Zhen, Jet Li, is dating Funakoshi's niece, and he's sort of going there ostensibly to approve of their relationship. I mean, they know each other, they seem to be getting along pretty well. The background is that this is China in 1914, which is under the occupation of Imperial Japan, so you have a Chinese dating a Japanese, and you also have a Japanese who is going to test the martial skills of a Chinese person. So there is a lot of, like, I guess, racial tension in the subtext. But again, individually, they know each other pretty well. Just before we hit action, we've had a bit of a debate where Funakoshi is quizzing Chen Zhen, like what's the strongest strike, what's the best defense, things like that. And we're not going to get to the fight proper initially. There are parts of this that sort of set the tone. So Chen Zhen's all ready to go, like, okay, let's go, this is a challenge, let's go fight. And Funakoshi has some stipulations. You see Chen Zhen's a little put off. Says, I'm old, I have to warm up first. Chen Zhen's just like, come on, man. So Funakoshi opens with a flying side kick, pushes Chen Zhen back. Looks like a jumping axe kick. Series of kicks, giving Chen Zhen some trouble. Now, historically, one thing that's interesting about this is that karate was more known for its hand strikes than its kicks at this point. There were some, traditionally Okinawan karate used generally low kicks to the abdomen and the legs. Now, there was apparently some expansion of this as it moved out of Okinawa. With that being said, again, this is meant to be set in, I believe, 1914, so we probably wouldn't have seen that variety of kicks at this point. Oof, nice double turning kick. Chen Zhen goes for a sweep, backs him off, and then goes for a double kick from the ground. Not quite a handstand kick, but close to it. Get punches, hooks. Funakoshi came down with a chop. Spin kick misses, jump kick is blocked. There's a lot going on. This choreography is great. swinging punches, straight punches, and knife hand strikes from the karate exponent. Chen Zhen is utilizing hip movement. Now he's going in with elbows, which are being blocked and avoided. It's a good knee to the body. Ooh, grabs him and starts throwing, again, knees to the body. And we see Funakoshi again going in with the knife hand. So the thing about Chen Zhen's style is that it's meant to be more progressive. So we saw him doing some bobbing and weaving, a bit like Western boxing, and then we saw some clenched knees. It's not like those things cannot or do not exist in Chinese martial arts, but they would be more characteristic of something like Muay Thai. I believe that that's meant to show that he's got a forward-thinking sort of martial art and is incorporating techniques that wouldn't be popular for another 50 or 100 years. Now Funakoshi is beginning to mimic Chen Zhen's style. Goes in with a 1-2 front kick, there's exchange kicks. And now we get Funakoshi, who's ducking the punches, utilizing close range elbow strikes and knee strikes. And then clinches and goes for that series of knees. Chen Zhen pushes off against the hips. It's actually a really good method to defend against knee strikes, because if you can control the hips, if you can keep those away from you, then the knees can't really get to the target. Breaks out of the clinch and goes for some headbutts. Spin kick is ducked. And that's sort of a Jet Li specialty, like doing some spinning move and getting sort of that inverted punch in midair. I've seen him do that in several movies. Now, showing that the wind's picking up, this is actually an important part of the fight. Chen Zhen goes in for kicks. Now he's actually scoring a lot more with the strikes. And he sees that the wind is blowing debris into the eyes of Funakoshi, and he can't see the strikes incoming. So, because he wants this to be a fair challenge, Chen Zhen doesn't land what could have been a knockout punch. So at this point, they both put on blindfolds, because they want it to be a fair fight. They make contact, and it's interesting that they're using more grabbing now, so they know where their opponent is. And then we get the straight thrusting punches of karate, the open hand, knife hand strikes of karate. Chen Zhen still using more kickboxing-esque strikes. Again, punches to the body. I would almost say they're trying to not really hurt each other. And that was an interesting sequence where Chen Zhen felt the straw from the ground hit him in the face. He was like, oh, he's swinging his leg at me. That's why he blocked that. Now they're beginning to fool one another with, throwing the straw to make him think that he was close enough to attack. And we saw Funakoshi take the bait and throw a bunch of punches that didn't hit anything, which opened up an opportunity for Chen Zhen to hit with a hammer fist to the body. And that began another exchange, which is ending with a shoulder throw. He's got control of his wrist, is able to toss him around. Right now you can tell by how they're tilting their head. You could see by how they were tilting their head that they were using their sense of sound in order to try to figure out where the guy was. Funakoshi distracted him with the rock, got him to attack nothing, just like Chen Zhen did him earlier, and then moved in with his own attack while Chen Zhen was punching the air. Some more knife hand strikes, straight punches. Oh, he tried a hip throw and had it blocked. That's a pretty good block. But he managed to kick him in the head as he came down. Standing arm lock, standing wrist lock, attempted foot sweep. That's a restraint, but that's not really a lock of any sort. But that might be. Here we go, they're exchanging joint locks. We had a sweep, and now Chen Zhen is striking down at Funakoshi. And again, he's applying a wrist lock while he's there. It's a arm lock, flips out of it. It's a shoulder lock with a choke. And the thing is, these are good close range techniques to use. In the Paralympics, you have wrestling and judo for the visually impaired, because once you put your hands on someone, you don't necessarily need eyesight to know what they're doing. He flips him over with a head throw, gets him in a leg lock, and now he's grabbing him by the throat. They're applying their techniques more vigorously. And Funakoshi lets go. And that's the end of the fight. The final bit of dialogue is Chen Zhen's like, "Why did you stop? You could have won." And Funakoshi's like, "The only reason I beat you was because I had more experience than you. On the path that you're on now, you have so much potential. You are better in every way except experience, which is only going to come with age." So as far as realism goes, most of the techniques they were using had a fair degree of realism to them. There was obviously a little bit of wire work with some of the more acrobatic things that they were doing. I think some of the sections when they were blindfolded, I don't think they would have been able to have the timing to recognize, like, oh, he's throwing a punch at my face. You know, because unless you're connected with someone, as I mentioned earlier, you can't really tell what they're doing. With that being said, they did spend a lot of time when they were blindfolded making those connections in what we would call trapping exchanges. So, you know, attaching to one of the opponent's arms and delivering your own attack through there. Or in grappling situations, we saw them utilizing throws and locks. And again, the basic techniques that they were using were consistent for the most part with what we would see in a martial arts fight. It is interesting that they didn't really land a whole lot of blows to the face. Mostly when they were throwing straight strikes, they attacked the chest, which is kind of a weird place to attack because you got a bunch of muscle and bone here. You know, of course you have the vital organs behind it, but there are softer places to attack with your strikes. Although that could have been an indication, again, that they were really not being malicious toward one another. Most of the stuff they used was realistic. I'm going to give it a B-. I like a lot of it, but again, there was some wire work with the acrobatics, and if you're not attached to someone, you can't really see a punch coming, and I think that was done more for cinema than anything else. It looked cool. It's not going to happen. As far as storytelling goes, though, I love this. What's interesting is that we see both fighters sort of learning from what the other one does. We see, for instance, Funakoshi mimicking Chen Zhen's bouncy footwork and sort of more pugilistic posture. We see them, when they're blindfolded, sort of distracting one another in different ways. We see Chen Zhen hitting a shoulder throw or attempting to after Funakoshi has already utilized his. And it like a little piece of storytelling, Funakoshi successfully hits the shoulder throw. Chen Zhen goes for it, and he's like, no, that's my move. I know how to counter that. And he does. And then there's the aspect, I've skipped over some parts of it, but again, these guys don't really mean any malice toward one another. This is a challenge, a test, but it's not like, I'm going to kill you. So we see that both parties sort of want it to be fair, but they also both want to win. When Chen Zhen sees that Funakoshi is being blinded by the wind, he blindfolds himself and Funakoshi follows suit. Like, okay, neither one of us will have an advantage here. We're going to do this fair and square. Honestly, between all of this, storytelling's an A+. So I want to thank you guys for following along with me. Apologies for my voice not being 100% sometimes. But if you would like to see more fight breakdowns like this, Media Fight Mondays are the first and third Monday of every month. If you would like to sponsor one, please consider donating to my Ko-fi account and letting me know what fight scene you'd like to see me cover. I mostly focus on martial arts movies, but it can be a fight scene from any movie. And please give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see 2 of these every month. And maybe check out some of my other videos if you're interested in other aspects of martial arts. Once again, thank you, and I'll see you later.